Yo, it's JP. Let's talk some more about HR because one, it is incredibly pertinent, and two, this is a theme that I have seen repeat itself hundreds, if not thousands of times. Every week, dozens of folks contact the firm and they say, but I went to HR. But I went to HR, right? They were being discriminated against. There were racist comments. There were ageist comments. They were being paid a different wage based on their race or based on their sex. They were being sexually harassed. And they say, but I went to HR. But I went to HR. As if they expected going to HR to solve the problem. That is your first mistake. HR is not your friend. HR is not your therapist. HR is not your advocate. HR does not work for you. HR works for the company. HR is the company's advocate. HR is the company's problem solver. HR typically is the company's team of henchmen and henchwomen who do the company's dirty work when it comes to getting rid of employees who raise concerns about discrimination, retaliation, sexual harassment, unpaid wages, unpaid overtime, illegal conduct. You see where this is going, right? Back in the 50s and 60s, you really didn't see human resources. It was all just the legal department. They spun HR out of legal and dressed it up to make it friendlier, to make it more plausible, but with the same goal of getting rid of any employees who spoke up and didn't just keep their heads down and toe the company line. That's how all of this works, okay? So if you're going to HR, as perverse as this is, you cannot have any reasonable expectation that HR is going to help you. You cannot expect that HR is going to step in, gather up all of the facts, learn what really happened, and if you have been discriminated against, sexually harassed, not paid appropriately, take your side and advocate for you. That's not what HR is going to do. This goes hand in hand with the absurdity and the dysfunction of modern American society, because all of this is bigger than law and bigger than litigation. America has devolved into a shell game, into a series of scams, okay? Everything has its own scam silo. There's a variety, there's probably 12 to 20 Central American scams that have their own industry, their own structure, their own silo, right? Pharmaceutical drugs, health insurance companies, cancel your gym membership scam, right? There's so Comcast can't cancel your cable bill, right? There are so many different industries that at this point in America are just open and notorious scams. And HR and the way that HR functions aligns with that 100%. So HR has nothing to do with fairness, justice, right or wrong. HR's job is basically to be a double agent, to hold itself out there, right? Give you some fucking donuts, okay? Hey, free donuts, come on, we're your friends, Want this like funny pin with a picture of a cat that found the money? We're HR, right? We love everybody, right? Come on in. You got a problem? Come talk to us. Why the fuck do you think they want you to talk to them? They want you to talk to them so they can set you up and get rid of you. So where this ultimately goes is, if you are in a situation where you are thinking about going to HR, it's already over. It's already over. Okay? Number one, you don't go to HR about things like fairness. You don't go to HR about things like your feelings or the work environment or interpersonal disputes. That's not what HR is for. HR is not a therapist. HR is not a feel-good service, certainly not for you. You only ever go to HR when your legal rights have been violated. That's when you go to HR. But understand that if you are at that point in the timeline, if your legal rights have been violated, what do I mean by that? I always come back to it. The law is about rights. And that doesn't mean I'm advocating for a whole bunch of horse shit and inappropriate conduct and disrespectful behavior and mean people. No, that's not what I'm advocating for. Rather, I am simply telling you the facts about how the legal system works and what the legal system protects. It's not a justice system. Stop saying that. That's a form of brainwashing. Language does work, okay? Language does work. I think it was Berger, Ways of Seeing, right? Language is a box. You can't get out of it, right? Think about that. You can't get outside of your own language. You understand everything through words and through language. You can't get outside of it. And sometimes language does subtle work, like calling it a justice system. So many people running around America, and they've got this idea in their head that the legal system, the court system, the litigation system is a justice system because it's been called a justice system, right? The Department of Justice. The fuck is that? The fuck is that? The Department of Justice should be called the Department of Law, the Department of Courts, right? Nothing to do with justice. That's brainwashing. When I talk about your rights being violated, we're talking about things like discrimination based on race, sex, age, religion, disability. Discrimination, retaliation for complaining about discrimination, retaliation for complaining about illegal conduct, i.e. fraud, tax fraud, consumer fraud, illegal dumping of toxic waste, right? You blow the whistle on something, you get retaliated against. You're being sexually harassed. You're being sexually assaulted, right? These are violations of your rights. We've moved beyond feelings. Now we're into your rights are being violated. Now you have a tangible claim for a violation of your rights. If you are at that point and you are thinking to yourself that you're going to go to HR, and that you're going to report whatever's happening, I'm not going to dissuade you from that. But I'm going to be candid with you that once you report whatever the underlying violation of your rights is to HR, then 95% of the time, you are a marked person, you have a target on your back, and the company is going to go to tremendous lengths to set you up, create a bogus paper trail against you, and force you out. I don't care. I don't care how many HR people on LinkedIn this pisses off, all right? But the vast majority of HR people are fucking idiots. They're fucking idiots and they're halfway crooks, and they're not even smart enough to be real crooks, okay? Because these people are always so flippin' sloppy. They're so sloppy in terms of how they perform the hatchet job, in terms of how they set you up and fake up a paper trail to get rid of you. And you've always got, it's never the top dog in HR, okay? Almost never. We've been involved in hundreds, if not thousands of cases like this, in situations like this. It's almost never the top HR person. It's usually some mid-level HR person who's calling the shots and wheeling and dealing and making crazy decisions and faking up a paper trail. And lower level and mid-level HR people in big companies will call me an asshole, but they never tend to be particularly sophisticated operators, okay? They are normally sloppy as fuck, okay? But that's what they're going to do. You go to HR, you report that, this is happening, you're being illegally discriminated against, sexually harassed, etc. They are going to create a paper trail. Now, I've seen plenty of cases where they don't even bother to create the paper trail. They just immediately retaliate, right? We have cases right now where people were either immediately fired, they were immediately demoted, they were immediately taken off the schedule, they were immediately reassigned to a faraway location, which was an hour drive just to get them to quit. All of that's illegal retaliation, okay? So remember, keep that in your mind and keep that in your toolkit. Once you report to HR, yes, there's a good chance they're going to retaliate against you, but the retaliation is every bit as illegal as the discrimination. And the retaliation is often easier to prove if you report or complain in writing in specific terms and you document. This collapses back into some stuff I've talked about in other videos because I try to repeat some of these key tools and points so that anybody who tunes in, whatever video you see, I hope you get the most value out of it. But remember, don't soft shoe it. Don't sugarcoat it. If you are being discriminated against on the basis of your age, then put it in writing and say, I am being discriminated against on the basis of my age. If you are being discriminated against on the basis of your race, say, I am being discriminated against because of my race. And here are the following specific incidents that demonstrate that. This day, this time, this person, this is what happened. That's 1, 2, 3, boom. Put it to them, black and white, specific facts, so they can't run away from it. They can't deny that you told them and that they were on notice. A lot of people don't do that, right? They're like, well, let me just have a verbal conversation with HR. Worst thing you can ever do. Worst thing you can ever do, okay? Worst thing you can ever do. Never go have simply a verbal conversation with HR without putting it in writing. And preferably before you talk to HR verbally, right? In person, in an office, on a Zoom, on a phone call, before you talk to them, send them an email that lists your specific concerns. But for the love of God, this is where people think I'm an asshole. Don't talk about your feelings. Talk about the facts and talk about your rights, okay? And some people say, oh, JP, he's such a bald-headed jerk-faced meanie. No, that's me trying to help you help yourself. If you're at a point where you're going to go to HR, understand they're probably going to retaliate against you and try and run you out of the company. And you have to ask yourself, is it even worth staying, right? Is it even worth staying? Maybe you just go on your merry way. Doesn't mean you don't have a claim. Doesn't mean you don't have a claim. We had a case against AutoNation in the Southern District of Florida where the gentleman was being sexually harassed at work and he quit. And one of AutoNation's defenses was, well, he quit. He quit. He doesn't have a case. You don't have a case. You don't have a case. You don't have any damages. We beat summary judgment. The guy quit. He was being sexually harassed. It was egregious. It was disgusting. Nobody was doing anything about it. People saw it in broad daylight. They saw it happening. He got sick of it. He quit. He still had a claim. So oftentimes, if you are being discriminated against, if you're being sexually harassed, if your rights are being violated, you don't suddenly stop having a claim just because you are the one who quits. Just because you make the decision, you know what, I'm not going to tolerate this, I'm walking out the door. But again, that hinges on you having an actual claim where your rights have been violated. But if you're at that point, you're going to go to HR. You have to ask yourself, do you want to stay? Do you want to go? It's up to you. That's a life decision. That's a career decision. That's not a legal decision. But if you're going to stay and you're going to go to HR and you're going to play the process out and see what the company does, then you want to do so in a way that maximizes your position. I hate that society and jobs and careers and companies and industry has devolved to this point. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that companies operate this way. But being upset over that reality and burying your head in the sand is not going to help you. And so if you're going to go to HR, you do it by the book, in writing via an email that you have a copy of. Because I can't tell you how many times people have complained to HR, put something in writing, get into litigation, and oh, it's gone. Doesn't exist. Well, oh my God. And you know what? Boy, howdy, Chet. We just, you know what? We had it, and it's the darndest thing. Those emails, they got deleted, and we're a big company, so nobody in the company actually made the decision to delete those things. Boy, howdy, it certainly wasn't HR deleting those emails because they would be really bad for us if we got into litigation. They up and disappeared, and oh, we're really sorry about that. But we're a big company, so that kind of thing just happens at a big company. You can't sanction us for anything like that. But God forbid, if a poor person destroyed pertinent evidence, courts would throw the fucking book at them. Courts would throw the fucking book at them. But that's America, people. That's real, and that's America, right? There are rules for thee and me, but there are no rules for our corporate overlords. There is a power structure in America. There is a power structure. And if you are part of the power structure, you basically get to do whatever the fuck you want, right? You get to do whatever the fuck you want, like up until the very margins, okay? But within this space, do whatever the fuck you want. Like, yeah, every once in a while you go too far, you're gonna get popped, but you get free reign to do whatever the fuck you want 90% of the field, right? That's how it works in America. You're in the power structure, go ahead, delete those emails. That's why you're gonna make a complaint. You gotta make sure that you have a copy of it for the record. Take a screenshot of it. Take a screenshot of it, okay? Take a screenshot of it, print it out, make sure you have a copy, put it in a binder, save it for a rainy day. Just know that if you do get to that point and you go to HR, they're probably gonna run you out of Dodge. But document, screenshot, capture, add it to your timeline, okay? That's one of the single most impactful things you can do to advocate for yourself. Because yes, you need a lawyer, okay, to pursue your case. In all likelihood, pursuing your case pro bono is probably not real, or not pro bono, but pro se, that's probably not realistic, right, to represent yourself, okay? So you probably need a lawyer. Nonetheless, you can advocate for yourself. You can advance your own cause by documenting and by creating and organizing a timeline, okay? A lot of people don't understand evidence. They think that evidence has to be something formal, right? It has to be a formal report or an email or official company correspondence. It can be. It can be. But your own contemporaneous notes can also be evidence. So whatever happens, you go to HR, you report, you screenshot, you capture that, you put it in your binder, you keep it moving, the retaliation starts, they start papering it up and trying to push you out. Document every single time that happens. Details, the date that it happened, when, where, how, who was involved, right? The more you do that, the more you are going to build your case, leverage up your position, and make it possible for the handful of attorneys, certainly in the South, who do these types of cases, to help you advance your cause and give you the best possible chance of a positive and meaningful outcome. No matter what happens, keep the faith. Keep the faith. Because the choice is black and white. You either give up, you just give up and say, fuck everything. Society is so fucked up. The system's so broken. America's so broken. The courts are so dysfunctional and corrupt. Corporate America is so dysfunctional and corrupt and powerful and beyond any accountability. You either give up, wave the white flag, say, fuck it, I'll just take whatever comes, or you say, fuck that, I'm gonna fight back. I know which side I'm on. JP, happy Wednesday.